What's grounded, fam? It's your boy Johnny Gio. Thank you guys for tuning in to the Grounded Phoenix podcast. Joining me today is Matt with ALR, A Life Recovered on Instagram. The man behind the scenes. What's grounded, brother?
Not much, man. It's good to be here. Just came up from San Diego.
Dude.
2-hour drive and fulfilling these commitments of things to say I'm going to do, you know?
Bro, from San Diego, man. It really is a blessing to have you here, and I'm excited for the conversations we're about to have.
Thanks for having me.
By the way, I do got to say, happy belated birthday. It was your birthday yesterday, right?
Yeah, 33.
33?
Yeah.
Damn, dude.
Finally something to show for it, you know?
Bro, man. And one thing I want to talk about is the gift of uncomfortability, bro, because you were celebrating yesterday, right, with your lady?
Mm-hmm.
How was that like? Because I know you sent me a picture of her alcoholic beverage, and then what did you got going on?
You know, I actually had a Shirley Temple, and it was delicious. You know what I mean? I'm past that point of having to have a drink in my hand that might look like liquor or appearing like I am doing what others are doing. I'm to the point now in my sobriety where it is what it is. I just don't drink. You know what I mean? And I'm comfortable saying that. I'm comfortable drinking a soda in front of people because, you know, I know where that first drink leads, and then that's all that reminds me. You know, it reminds me every time I place that order. I'm proud to order that Shirley Temple. You know what I mean?
Same, dude. I'll have my ginger ale every time I'm out there. Like even at a bar, I'll have my ginger ale. And people know that there's no alcohol in there. So it's like, what do you, when people come up to you and they tell you, hey, what are you drinking? What do you say, and how do people react to that? You know,
well, to be honest, I don't go out that much anymore. But
Same.
when I do, and honestly, most of the people know my past. So most of them don't question me, you know, because they know that once I take that first drink, there's no work on Monday, there's no commitments, there's no nothing. You know what I mean? So they respect me when I tell them that. Some people I share that I'm in the program, depending on who I'm talking to.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we went to this restaurant yesterday called Born and Raised in San Diego Steakhouse, and liquor bottles everywhere, man. They have the Prohibition style. So, you know, she got a whiskey drink, and whiskey was kind of one of my go-tos, you know, but it is what it is.
Yeah, brother. You know? One thing I've heard, because I'm straight up with people. I just tell them, bro, like, you don't even know. Like, I end up getting a fucking Coke sack. You'll see me without my shoes running down the middle of the street, starting fights with people. Somebody that I had on here, I think it was Amanda, she was like, you know what? When I talk to people and they ask me, I just tell them the reason why I don't drink is because I like it too much. And I'm just like, oh snap. Instead of having like this negative connotation to it, she was like, I like it too much. I just love being sober, and I really like the ring to that.
Yeah. I mean, it's simple. For when I take one, I can't stop. You know what I mean? I have that physical allergy, you know, that mental obsession where if I take one, I have to keep going. You know what I mean? That phenomenon of craving and that mental obsession. I have to start, and once I start, I can't stop. And then once I'm in that cycle, it's like, how do I break out of that? You know what I mean? It took me a long time to figure out how to break out of that, you know?
Exactly. So. And I know, let me know if you don't want to talk about this, but I know you had a couple of months ago an incident where you were just like ready to get back onto it almost. Yeah,
no, actually, I love talking about it. September 17th, I had a relapse. That's what you're talking about, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I had a relapse, you know, so I went to treatment for the last time in March of 2019, and I got out of there in May of that year. I did 57 or 58 days, and, you know, I had learned a lot. I had fully committed after going to treatments in the military and stuff like that, and I had a spiritual experience, which was, you know, a blessing, because I didn't think people like me were entitled to experiences like that. You know, I thought those were for, you know, people above mountaintops in Fiji, you know, that are like talking, not speaking for days at a time and things like that. And all of a sudden I had this, like, I think the best way that I can describe it is it's like a wake up call. You know what I mean? It's like being hit in the head, you know what I mean? And just kind of waking up from this haze that I was in for years. And I was able to stay sober after that for 19 months, you know, and I had solid time. I got my shit together, you know. I left rehab with a criminal record of 2 DUIs and a registered narcotics offender for the state of California. I had no work history for like a year because I was discharged from the military with a bad discharge in early 2018. So I didn't have much to show for myself, you know. And I put the work in, and I grinded, and I went to sober living, and I stayed clean, and I walked everywhere because I didn't have a car. I sold all my possessions. I started getting clothes back, you know, and it was miserable for a while, but it was what I had to do because I wanted to stay clean. And, you know, I had a lot of good things going on. I got married. I got a job. You know, I work for Allstate right now, which was hard to do with my criminal record. Yeah. It took me a year to get my license in the courts and everything, and I worked my ass off for it. The problem is all this good stuff was happening,
right?
And all the money was coming in, and, you know, I'm getting these relationships back, and I mean, everything was smooth, you know what I mean? And I had started the Instagram, A Life Recovered, in July 2020, and I started that to provide a platform because I saw a lot of people kind of going backwards in their struggle.
Yeah.
I saw a lot of people relapsing, and, you know, domestic violence, suicidal ideations, all that stuff was happening with this. The world was shut down. It was crazy. You know what I mean?
Right.
It was nothing like I've seen in my lifetime, you know? And it was awesome. You know, I was connecting with a lot of people. People were sharing stories. The page was growing, but I lost sight of what I was doing. You know, I had my mind on the fact that, you know, I got this Instagram and I'm talking to people and I got money coming in from my job, and, you know, I lost sight of what I was doing. And then all of a sudden my wife and I were about to move. We're about to get a home, and I found a can of air duster on the move, during the move, and I hit it. And, you know, I didn't even realize it. I didn't even think about it. I didn't think to call my sponsor. I didn't think to call my family. I didn't think to... I just didn't think. It was just automatic, you know. And 19 months of hard work. You know, I had done the steps. I worked a program of AA. That's what works for me. No one else has shown me a way to live aside from them. But all that was by the wayside. And, you know, all of a sudden I was coming up with lies to get out of work. I was figuring out a way to hide it from my wife. You know, I went to Target to go buy some more.
Oh, wow.
I had money to buy it, but I decided I would steal it because I don't want to pay for it. You know what I mean? And it was like all that work that I did to get away from those old behaviors that were learned behaviors for like 15 years was right back like that, dude. You know what I mean? And it was devastating. My wife found me, and I was, you know, knocked out on Mars, you know, doing this stuff. And I was just... It was bad, man. You know, I got very defensive, you know what I mean? Like we do, even though I didn't take ownership. I bounced out of the house and I drove to a liquor store, and I sat outside that liquor store, dude. And liquor was my foundation, you know, the little peppermint schnapps bottles and whiskey and all that stuff. That was my foundation. You know, the drugs came too, but like my foundation was booze. And I sat outside that liquor store and I was ready, dude. I was ready. And I figured in my mind, okay, well, I already lost my days. All this shit had happened. So, you know, I'm just going to commit. This is who I am. You know what I mean? I'm an addict. This is expected.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Everybody relapses. This is expected. You know what I mean? And when I relapse, I go on a little 6 or 7 day run. I try to get everything I can out of it. And, you know, I'll mend everything later on. You know what I mean? I talked to my brother, and my brother, you know, and even my father too. And they were like, dude, you haven't lost everything. Do not walk into that fucking store. Yeah. Don't do it. I didn't, thank God, man. You know, I didn't. I got back to a meeting the next day. But I was close, man. I was close. But I got in a meeting, and dude, that is a slice of humility right there. Going back into a meeting after you've worked your ass off to get sober and be sober for a while, and then tell them, hey, I don't even have 24 hours right now.
Fuck.
You know what I mean? And that's like very humbling. But I had to do it. And I was talking to my sponsor, and I was trying to find a way where I could still kind of keep my days like, yeah, but it was a can of air. And it was like, dude, you got a mind-altering substance. You used it to get high, and then you were hiding and lying about it. You know what I mean? That is classic, you know, addictive what we behavior. Don't do. Exactly. So I started fresh, and now I'm coming up on 9 months again. Dude,
that is tough to do. To just do you think because did you shy away from like doing step work or going to meetings? As that like you kind of lost the hunger for bettering yourself?
Yep.
What do you attribute the most to like that incident?
I stopped doing the things that got me those 19 months. You know what I mean? When the rehab that I went to, I actually went to the Lighthouse in Anaheim, not far from here. And they, you know, they pushed the AA thing, AA or NA, whatever, you know, and AA is, no one else was offering me a new way to live and saying, hey, here's this. This is a program you can live by. You can be successful and you can have relationships with this stuff. You know what I mean? No one was offering me that. They were the only people that offered me that. So I took it and I tried it and things got better. And then my book collected dust. I stopped going to Zoom meetings. I was just talking on Instagram, you know what I mean, to the followers and stuff like that. And that's all well and good.
Right.
But I started running off of Matt's will versus his will. You know what I mean? And when I started doing that, that's when I just got caught up in the game was running and I got to get the followers up and the likes and all this stuff. And it's like, dude, no, you need to pull back, you know, and I was forced to pull back, you know what I mean? As soon as that happened, I took a break and I came back and, you know, a few months ago, I told my truth of what happened because I have to do that. You know what I mean? I have to do that. You know, I can't not tell the truth and work this program. You know what I mean? I have to, you know, people say that, you know, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. For me, the definition of insanity is being in a room of 12 steps and not doing the 12 steps. You know what I mean? Like, why am I here, dude? Why am I doing this? I'm full of shit, you know? So I had to get honest and do that shit. And, you know, it is what it is. Here I am.
And there's a lot of people in those rooms that they go to the meetings and they're not doing the 12 steps. Why do you think that is? At what point do you think like you're ready to like do the steps for some people? Because even people that like are actually doing the step work, but they're not necessarily being 100% honest with yourself, because that's what it is, dude. I mean, it starts with honesty, right?
I mean, absolutely. But everybody's at a different, everybody's at a different point of what is acceptable or how much they will tolerate. You know what I mean? Like for me, I was able to tolerate more pain. So I was only willing to do 60 or 70% of the program and then go back out and experience the pain and come back. You know what I mean? I was still allowing myself to feel that, you know? But all I can do is keep my side of the street clean.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I tried to be the director and run the show for a long time. You know what I mean? And that got me very alone. You know, after the military, I really lost it, man. I went out and I was addicted to crystal meth and I was drinking every day and I had lost everything. I was losing my mind. You know what I mean? And everybody's at a different point. I had to get beaten into submission. You know what I mean? Some people will find out the hard way that if you're not going to be honest in a meeting, you're going to suffer outside the meeting. You know what I mean? But everybody's got to experience and figure out how low they're willing to go before they're going to commit 100%. Because if I didn't commit 100%, I'm not going to get 100% results. And if I don't have 100% results, I'll have a drink in my hand. You know what I mean? So
that's big, dude. That's important. And one thing that I'm getting out of here is that you kind of lost your hunger to like bettering yourself, and almost as if you were using Instagram and a life recovered as your recovery, right? And I know for me that can be an issue because I do the the Grounded Phoenix podcast, and sometimes I feel the exact same way. I'm just like, I gotta get the likes up, I gotta get the comments up, I want people to share, and I get so involved in it, and I just forget that. It's not all about the views, and it's just mainly about the message. It's not really about me, and I get so caught up in that sometimes that I feel as if sometimes I need to take a step back.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing right now. I just told some of my followers that, hey, I'm taking a couple weeks off because I got to get ready for school. I start my bachelor's for my psychology program in July, and I have to get ready for that. You know what I mean? I don't get paid to do Instagram. You know what I mean? I love sharing stories, and it's, it is a passion of mine, but I've realized that is not everything. You know what I mean? And for a while, appealing to the masses and everything that came along with it, I got consumed by that shit, dude. I started that page in July and I got consumed by it. By end of August, I was just like, that was it. My whole day was focused on that. I was spending way too much time. I had just gotten married July 31st, and all of a sudden it's like, dude, you have a new wife, and you know what I mean? And I got consumed by it. I know you said, I'm sorry to interrupt, dude, but I know you said that you don't get paid for it, and I mean, neither do I, but I do feel like in a sense I am getting paid, not with money, but more so like spiritually by putting information out and expressing putting out awareness for addiction, trauma, mental health. So like, I guess that's how I get fulfilled, but also I also
know that I gotta separate like that part and then me being like, oh, you know, it's my podcast type of deal. You know what I'm saying? So
no, totally, absolutely. I mean, I just provide the platform. People bring their stories and I put it out, and it's awesome. You know, I realized that through that page, it's about, you know, people talking to each other. I connect females with other females. I connect males with other males, and I love doing that stuff. But like, I still on the side have to write my own story. I still have to make that a priority too. Because without my story and without doing that, I can't have the platform and the fun that I get to have with the page too. You know what I mean? So like certain things have to come first. And sometimes I get my priorities mixed up, and that's when it gets me back to square one, you know? So.
Is your recovery your priority?
It is now. It is now. You know, there's some days I wake up and it feels like it's not. And that's when I can get into a world of trouble. You know what I mean? But right now, recovery is my priority. Absolutely.
And I know you have a relationship with someone that's considered, I guess, a normie. What is that like? And I know everybody's different, but what is that like? And for some people that may say, fuck, like, am I ever going to be in a relationship with someone? Can I have a relationship with anybody that can drink? Or should I just find somebody that's sober like me? What has worked for you, and what are some things that, you know, you would like to tell the audience?
Well, first of all, my wife is a saint. You know what I mean? I was deep into my addiction with alcohol and meth when I actually met her. And, you know, she helped save my life. You know what I mean? I ended up moving in with her and some of her family members, and they literally helped nurture me back to life. They helped motivate me to get to court and take care of my things and get out of debt and all this stuff. And, but yeah, she's a normie, you know, but she didn't drink around me for the first year, you know, couldn't have it in the house. You know, she had to, if she wanted to be with me and have me be successful, and the good version of Matt Ward, she had to put that aside for a little bit, you know what I mean? And she did, you know, so she had to sacrifice the way she wanted to live her life, you know what I mean, in order for us to be successful and have a relationship. And I can't expect someone to do that.
Right.
But she did that, you know what I mean? And like, not everybody's willing to do that, and they're not wrong, but that's what she did. You know what I mean? It's a blessing that I found a woman like that supports me 100%. You know what I mean? And I'm going to be spending a very long time repaying that back to my wife for the support that she showed me to help get me to drive here today on a license that's not suspended, with a registration, you know, and a car that's paid off. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I hope that everybody finds that. But I didn't think I would, and I did. But very blessed. Dude,
super blessed. That's incredible, man. It's really hard to find people like that. Even people that are not in recovery, they're just having a hard time to find that special somebody. Right. When it comes to the spiritual principles, what is the one principle that you found the most toughest?
I would say accepting the apologies that I don't get for things that happen on a daily basis. It's very easy for me to feel wronged by people. You know, when I was driving here, I got cut off probably 30 or 40 times. And my natural instinct is to get and pull up on side of them and look at them and let them know that I have been wronged. You know what I mean? But that's not, how can I live like that? You know what I mean? Like, I can't go through my day getting upset at the way other people act. I have to give others the ability to be wrong. You know what I mean? They have to have the opportunity to not be right. You know what I mean? And for me to practice acceptance and just the way that things are, you know what I mean? And for a long time, like I said, I wanted to be the director, you know what I mean? And it was just practicing that acceptance that things are not going to go according to Matt's plan every day, you know? Yeah. That's the big one.
It happens all the time, dude. For some reason, driving and getting cut off for something that I absolutely hate. And I know what you're talking about, dude. I have to let them know, like, hey, dude, you know, you just cut me off. I didn't like that.
Yeah.
But at the end
of the day,
dude,
here's the script. This is what you're supposed to follow. Yeah. You're not supposed to do that.
Yeah, but like you were saying, there's just certain things we can't control. And sometimes people really got to learn that the hard way. Either that's through a traffic ticket or, I mean, Lord forbid, like a car accident, you know? But yeah, that's one thing with me is like control. I love having control of everything. And the moment that I don't, I panic, but I also realize that's a lack of faith. That's a complete lack of faith. And I like to consider myself a very spiritual person, which leads me to my next topic, and that is, a higher power. Who is your higher power? What does the higher power mean to you?
So for me, I choose to call my higher power God. It wasn't like that for a long time. But to me, when I first got into the rooms, I just needed to believe in something greater than Matt Ward. You know what I mean? And that was okay. I can work with that. You know what I mean? I wasn't against or for religion, but for me, God is that is the spiritual being of me being a better person and doing what I'm supposed to do on a daily basis and walking the right path. You know what I mean? And practicing those prayers that I read. My higher power was the rooms of AA for a long time. It was the people in the rooms that were like me, that wanted to help me. You know what I mean? I have never met this man in my life, and he wants to help me. He wants to give me a book, and he wants to sit down with my shot ass in a Starbucks and you know what I mean? And talk about this because he knows that I'm fucked up. Yeah. You know what I mean? And like, that was cool. Those guys and those people were my higher power. And then I realized, I accepted, I go by the book, man. I go by the book, and my higher power is God. Sometimes I don't know what he looks like. I don't know what it is. I don't even know if it's male or female. You know what I mean? But the universe, there's something bigger than me, and I choose to call it that because the book calls it that. And that's like I said before, that's the best way of life that I've been shown. So
right. Yeah. Going back to meetings and like talking to somebody you hardly even know at a Starbucks, wanting to really help you. And there's some people that get just so turned off by that because they got their guard up because they're like, what the fuck does this person want from me? Out of me. Yeah. So to start off with, how is it for you to like accept that help? Because I think a lot of people struggle with that, including myself early on. I barely got into the rooms like a year ago, and I've been alcohol free sober for like almost 6 years now. Now I guess because I have a different mindset. I was more welcoming to that. But for some people that are really struggling out there, like what would your advice be to somebody that has their guard up?
You have to be willing to accept that sometimes you don't know what's best for yourself.
Oh.
You know what I mean? Like that's something that I had to do, is like, I always thought that like, I know what's best for Matt Ward right here, right now. I will make the best decision for me, for the best outcome for me. And that got me on the side of the road alone with a bottle in my hand.
Yeah.
So like I had to get past that. Fuck, man, like I don't have all the answers. Yeah. You know what I mean? I just don't have all the answers. And it was hard too, because these guys, they don't look like me. They don't dress like me. They don't talk like me. They don't listen to the same music. I have nothing in common with this man. And it's unbelievable that the people that were the most different from me have taught me the most out of anybody, it's crazy, dude. It's crazy. You have to be willing to swallow your pride and approach a man, that you see that you want what they have. You know what I mean? Like when I got my sponsor, you know what I mean? He didn't look like me. He wore some dorky white New Balances, and I was like, you know what I mean? But when he was outside the rooms, when he spoke, he said that he did certain things. And then I saw him outside the rooms at a couple places, and he was talking like that, and he was walking like that, and he was confident, but he was humble. And like, I saw it, and I was like, wow, like, you know what? I want what he has. You know what I mean? And you just got to swallow your pride and go for that. You know what I mean? It's because I was choosing the people in the beginning that were just like me with, 6 months of sobriety.
Yeah.
Dude, they didn't have it. How could they give it away?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, so... yeah.
Well said, dude. Very well said. And that leads to me to just mention that early on, when I was going to these court-ordered meetings, I was just like, you're looking at the differences, right? And that's part of the reason that kept me out of the rooms for so long. And just, a big part of my recovery was just me being in my mom's house locked in or just doing, work on myself. And now I'm just a little actually way more happier because I'm able to connect with these people that are more similar to me, but not similar in the sense of the way we dress or anything, because everybody's different, but more so in the sense of like what we went through and how we felt on the inside.
Right.
So looking at the similarities and trying to find those similarities that go deeper than the exterior is something that I think goes a long way.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I think one thing that was funny though, like when I first started going to AA meetings, it was forced when I went. So I self-referred when I was active duty in the Navy, and I said, hey, I have a drinking problem, and they sent me to treatment. And in that treatment, they sent you to, AA meetings out in town. They bust you over there, shuttle. And, I was in those rooms and I was like, man, like these people are all like genuinely happy. You know what I mean? Like they can't all be fucking with me. You know what I mean? Like they're not all faking it. You know what I mean? Like that's so much work for them to all be orchestrating these same positive stories. Like something has to be real here.
Yeah.
And at that point early on, I had already, I accepted that I was an alcoholic, and I accepted that AA might work. You know what I mean? I was willing to go to those meetings and I started sharing right away and stuff like that. And, but I never wanted to commit. You know what I mean? I only wanted to do half of what they said. Yeah. If you tell me to read, I'm going to skim it. You know what I mean? Like, so yeah.
Funny story too, when I submitted my, a life recovered story to you, you're very good with like your vocab and like all of the stuff that applies to the writing. So you had to revise my stuff because there were some mistakes on there.
Yeah.
Just so you guys know that Matt puts in a lot of work into a life recovered, and I just want to take this time to thank you for all the work that you do, man. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, no, it's a pleasure. I love sharing those stories, and everybody's got a story to tell. You know what I mean? And like for me, whether I have, you said something great to me actually one time. I haven't forgotten this. You're the only person that's ever said it to me. And you said, whether we have 6 months or 3 months, if you have 6 months, you can help someone with 4 months. If you have 4 months, you can help someone with 2 months. And for those stories, everybody's got something important to share, regardless of the amount of time that you have. If you are sober for a 24-hour period and you are an addict or an alcoholic, I want to hear what you have to say.
Yeah.
I want to hear what you have to say, and I want everybody else to hear what you have to say, because for that day, you did something or several things right.
Exactly.
And the other person might be able to learn from that. You know what I mean? So it's all very important. That's why I love doing it. Platform's awesome, man. It's awesome. It really is
bro.
fun.
I was really anti-social media, bro. And prior to me being sober, I was just, in there for like the wrong reasons, and also I was codependent on it, and like people and like hanging out and shit like that, especially women. But when you're recovered, or you're in recovery and you use it for the right reasons, man, it's just so much more fulfilling to me. What do you think about social media as just like for something personal, and then like also for like a life recovery? Do you see like a difference there?
I do, but it's funny because I actually started sharing stories and talking addiction stuff on my personal Instagram, and my brother was like, my brother runs a page as well. It's called Hands Team Heroes, and it's about like good catches and like cool like like little sports videos and stuff like that. And he does it for fun, but he's been doing it for a little while. And he told me, he's like, dude, get your addiction stuff off your personal Instagram. Go start your own things to separate the two. You know what I mean?
That's true.
A lot of people that I knew and grew up with that are on there, they don't want to hear all this stuff.
They don't.
You know what I mean? Which I respect, So I started my own thing, and I had to separate the two. Not everybody wants to hear all that ugliness and wants to see that on there. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
that's why I switched over. But I think it's good to separate. You know what I mean? But obviously, it depends on the person.
It really does, dude. Some people, even just a personal account, they don't use it the way I use it. It's for some people, and I personally don't think I'll be able to have a personal account.
Yeah.
If it's not for a specific thing, I just, it's all bad for me.
If you look at my personal account, you scroll through and be like, man, this guy's got it together. This looks amazing. This guy, he's got artwork. He's got a wife. He just got married. It's great. And then you come over to my page and it's like, oh man, this guy's fucked up.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? It's like that separation, which is, it's truth. You know what I mean? It is what it is, And I have a little link to the Life Recovered on my personal one, so you can go see the behind the scenes stuff if you feel like it. You know what I mean?
Dude, and I think that's something important for people to understand, that Instagram or whatever platform you're using works, and for most cases, we're putting out like only the things we want you to see. What are some things that like that you're struggling with right now at this moment that you would just like to, talk about in terms of like your recovery or just life overall? Because sometimes, we don't like to talk about that.
Yeah, no, I'm completely upfront about this stuff. Right now, I would say, once I got sober, you start to realize actually what's really going on behind the scenes and your real issues. I got diagnosed with bipolar 2. I had a therapist. I told myself I would never go to AA. I told myself I would never go to therapy. Dude, I have 2 therapists. I'm in AA. You know what I mean? I'm doing all the stuff I said I would never do, but it helped me realize that I have all these other issues. So when I took away the drinking and the drugs, that was my solution. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And then I took away the drinking and the drugs and I realized, oh my God, I have all these other issues. Like, fuck, dude, I have all this other stuff I got to work on.
Yeah.
So I have the bipolar 2, which when my therapist told me I had that, I didn't really believe him. I said, hey, listen, I get angry a couple times. I'm not bipolar. You know what I mean? I don't think I'm the creator of Facebook. I'm not everybody's higher power. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
And I really realized there was a lot more to it. He started me on this medication and dude, it helps a lot. I can't deny it. I have less several days of intensity and then down lows. You know what I mean? So it does help. But like, to answer your question, my anger, sometimes, it's easy for me to make amends and say I'm sorry and do things like that, but doing shit in the first place that I shouldn't do. Oh. You know what I mean? Jumping to conclusions or being disrespectful or a little too intense with my wife, you know what I mean? And then coming right back later and being like, hey, what's up? And she's like, I don't want to talk to you right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's easy for me to screw things up. And then I want to apologize right away. It's like, dude, you got to let her cool out for a little bit. Yeah. You have to give it time. You know what I mean? So like, I'm newly married. You know what I mean? A lot of things I'm doing right now, I have never done before. So it's all going to be a work in progress, but yeah, that's something I'm working on. You know what I mean? Not getting to that next level. You know what I mean? And I work in sales. So like a lot of my job throughout the day is taking people that are at a 10 to a 5. You know what I mean? Like as far as intense and anger, and I need to practice that in my personal life too. You know what I mean? Sometimes dial it back, dude. You're talking to your wife, not a guy on the street. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So, yeah.
Dude, thank you for your vulnerability, man. I know sometimes it's difficult to share these type of things, but I know for myself at least, it feels good to put it out there. And I like what you said, dude. Progress, not perfection. At the end of the day, I really do believe that I'm a work in progress, and I probably always will be. And I love that actually, because I know that I have something to look forward to, like a better version of myself. So thank you for your vulnerability.
Yeah.
So before I let you go, man, I got to ask you this question. I'm sure you probably heard it before, but if not, here you go. This is actually the last question I'm gonna ask you, because I know you got a cool drive back, and that is that I believe there's 3 things that I believe are guaranteed in our life, and they're actually marked in our gravestone. And that is our birthday, the day we pass, and that dash in the middle that we always overlook. What is that dash going to symbolize for you? What do you want to be remembered by?
I want to be remembered by the fact that I am a comeback. I am a comeback. I hit a bottom in my life that many people, including myself, didn't think was possible. I didn't think I could get that low. But I want to be remembered that I worked and I got out of that, and I didn't do it alone. I had help from people and I had help from a higher power, but I put the work in, and, I came back from the other side. So,
well said, dude. It's like redemption.
Absolutely.
I'll never be the same.